Hi, good afternoon. Hello, how are you? Thank you for joining me on my final pre-release broadcast all about my book Berlin. There's the cover. There it is. I'm really, really pleased and excited to bring this to you. I've done these every day this week. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I've gone live just to talk about the book, to tell you where to get it, to tell you what to expect when you do. So this is the final one. It will be out tomorrow, which is so exciting. Here's the hardback copy, the proof hardback copy with the watermark on. You should be able to actually get the paperbacks tomorrow as well. I'm hoping they'll go through the Amazon system relatively quickly. They won't be there quite at the start, quite straight away, but they should be on there at some point. So if you don't know who I am, let me start with that. That's a good place to start, because you might be watching this for the first time. You might not know anything about me, or you might not know about my writing. My name's Luke. I am a writer. This is my third book, Berlin. It's out tomorrow, as I've just said. Kathmandu and Hong Kong are my first books, the first two books. Kathmandu's the first one. There it is. Hong Kong's the second. There it is. And they're a series all about a guy called Leo Keane, who finds missing people around the world. He travels all over to find people that have gone missing. And I got sort of the idea from the stories when, you see in the news that someone's gone missing whilst they're traveling through whatever country, and you see it for a couple of weeks. That story is quite popular, and then it disappears. You never hear of it again until a year or 2 years or something later, and then whatever happened has happened, and you can hear the truth. I always think that this character is the guy who goes and finds those things, that person, because there's the political element of, it's a different police force. They're a traveller. You don't know if they're meant to go missing or whether they wanted to go. So it all sort of digs into those sorts of things. Hi, Alison. Thank you for your comment. Oh, by the way, if you just chuck a comment in this, I can tell that you are watching, and I will thank you personally for that. If you're able to, I'd massively appreciate that. I'm streaming it today, both on my page and on my profile. So I'm doing it slightly differently. We'll see if it makes a difference. Don't know, just trying things out here. That's the link at the top of the screen. You need to get more information about the book, lukerichardsonauthor.com/Berlin. You won't be able to click on it, but if you go to a browser, open a new browser on your phone or on your computer, whatever, type that in. It will take you to my page, and you'll be able to pre-order it straight from there, and then that will get delivered to you tonight, and you'll be able to start reading in the morning. I massively appreciate every pre-order I can get, because they do make a difference to the system. Having sort of seen, it knows if it gets pre-orders, it knows that people are interested in that book. So, as per usual, as I have done for the last couple of days, what I'd like to do is read for you a section of the book, and then I'd like to talk to you about one of the characters in it. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask, feel free to chuck them in the comments section. I don't plan on talking for more than about 10 minutes. I think each day I've just done about 10 minutes. But if there's anything you'd like to know, absolutely happy to go where you think as well. I'm going to read a section of chapter 5. So I've dotted all around the book at the moment. I've tried to avoid sections that are spoilers or sections that might ruin the story for you. So you haven't really got any behind the scenes information, but and we've sort of dotted around the book as well, haven't we? We haven't just gone in one section, in one part. So we're chapter 5 today. Out on the street, he dropped behind the Russian. He had to look as though he was leaving the club alone. The CCTV footage may be checked. The problem was, he didn't know where they were going. It all depended on schedules and shift patterns, apparently. But it was going to happen tonight. The nightclub's techno thud became distant as they turned a corner. The heat, the sweat, and the fluid movements of the dancers were now just a hazy memory. Cars passed dozily on the street. It was still before dawn, that strange time when people waking for work mingled with those not yet asleep, the present and future coexisting for a few nebulous minutes. A taxi slowed in search of a fare. Keeping his eyes on the Russian, he waved it off. Ahead, the road straightened alongside a railway. Confident he could see the man from a distance on the straight road, he dropped his pace. For 10 minutes they walked through a patchwork of glaring streetlights and hanging shadows. Tattered posters advertising events he would never attend flapped in the breeze. He reached Warsaustrasse S-Bahn station and followed the Russian inside. They waited at opposite ends of the empty platform. People could still be watching. The sky continued to lighten. Spikes of bruised purple scudded across the blue. Soon the whole city would be awake. Another Berlin day, a day like any other. His eyes were drawn to a pair of small birds skipping through the sky. They darted this way and that. Their twittering song sounded sharp and shrill in the morning air. The city, the world, the morning, all were coming alive. A motorbike grunted past beyond the walls of the station. A group of people climbed the stairs and their voices echoed across the platform. Two birds came to rest on a wire and considered him with their dark eyes. Maybe they were leaving the city soon too, heading south perhaps. Bouncing from the wire, they pounded into the still air. It would be a duller city without them. The rails began to snap and ring. A train was coming. Alles Orgetten Bitten, end station, all change. The doors of the bright yellow train hissed open, and a dozen sleepy passengers tumbled out. The Russian got on, and he followed. They stood at opposite ends of the same car, waiting for departure. He found himself examining the dark wooden veneer of the train's interior, embellished by the scrawls of many years. He wanted to drink in the details, save them for some future time. Trains like this were a piece of the city. They were as important as the Brandenburg Gate or the Love Parade. They were part of the place, the very fabric of it, just like he had been. As the train pulled from the station, a realization struck him. This city had been his home for 5 years, but after tonight, it was all over. He may never see the city again. It was sad, but there was no other way. He had to get out. He had to go. As he watched the shimmering water through the window, as they crossed the river. The lights of some modern, boxy office buildings on the sites of East German warehouses glowed ethereally. Above it all, the spire of the Berliner Fernsehturm, the television tower, clawed the sky. For a few seconds, the view seemed unchanged, and then they were swallowed by the chaotic rooftops of Kreuzberg. This was his neighborhood. These vibrant, diverse, and energetic streets had been his kingdom. This was what he wanted, what he needed. There was no other way. As the train slowed for Cottbusser Tor, the Russian began to move. The 4 stops had felt like 10. Keeping his distance and without looking directly at the Russian, he followed. Things needed to look normal. There could be no suspicions. Above, the day was anxious to break. The sky's dome washed with blue pleaded for him to stay. He looked greedily at the nimbus shapes flushed with shades of fuchsia and mauve. He drank it in through the dirty windows in the station's iron canopy. He pulled his last breath of the Berlin dawn, the final inhalation of a suffocating man. Then he followed the Russian underground. So that's chapter 5. Thank you so much for joining me today. And this week, actually. It's been really nice to be able to share some of these sections with you. Remember, that link there, lukerichardsonauthor.com/Berlin, is where you need to go to pre-order this so that it appears on your device in the morning. Yes, Alison, I put those photos up last night, in fact. I put those photos up last night. I needed something here, and there's some of my favourite places that I've been to, including some of Berlin. In fact, the one I showed you yesterday of Teufelsberg is here. Thank you, Amy. Amy says she's proud of my book. I'm proud of it as well. Thank you. Right, I'm gonna cut this one quite short. I'm gonna let you guys get on with whatever your plan this afternoon. As I say, that link is where you need to go to get this pre-ordered if you haven't already. And I do plan to do a short catch up with you tomorrow, just to say everything is going fine and we're live. And I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow afternoon then.